Welcome to Biz Meds with Darris and Saad, where we give you the medications for your business. This podcast is all about the minimum effective doses you need to make a massive improvement in your business. Listen and enjoy.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Biz Meds. We are your hosts. My name is Saad.
And I'm Darris.
So for today's episode, going back to, again, just the framework of what it is that we're trying to constantly accomplish is giving you a little bit of information every day, the minimum effective dose to help you think outside the box a little bit. Or if there's things that you already know about, help you have a refresher and, get some kind of rejig your memory around that. So
try not to over optimize your life and your business for no reasons, and not spend time on stuff that you don't need to be doing, where we can cut through the BS, we can cut through a lot of the clutter and give you actionable things.
Absolutely. And one of those things is personal development and growth, and just the whole idea around progressively improving the things that you're doing. So I want to start off by saying, one of the things you can do is consistently invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. I believe as a business owner or as a leader where you're leading other people, the cap of the people below you is only going to be matched to what your cap is. So if you're a 5, the people below you are always forever going to be a 4. So
I don't disagree. I mean, I agree 100 million% with that. We've said it before. It won't be the last time it ever pops up on this, is that you cannot lead others until you lead yourselves. Mm-hmm. That's the first premise. And the other one is that you are the biggest roadblock or hindrance cap in your business, bar none.
100%.
As the business owner, if you're not growing, mm-hmm. your business will not grow. Again, the idea is what got you here won't get you there. Mm-hmm. And to continually progress, you have to invest. Yeah. I'm going to say that again. To continually progress, you must continually invest.
I'm sorry about that. And as you said that very beautifully. You said this before too.
I just get chirped when I'm mid epiphany.
You said this beautifully before, that leaders are readers.
Yes.
And the premise of that is, they're investing in themselves. They're growing their knowledge. They're open to learning and improving.
Yeah, there's multiple things happening. One, yes, you are investing in yourself, and that is a fundamental thing. You can't ever lose that. Right? So developing your skill, your knowledge, all those things, you can't lose that. Mm-hmm. So that's fantastic. The other thing is that you are exhibiting, as you said, the capacity to learn, which is a growth mindset. So you're even putting your mindset in the right element to continually to learn, to challenge yourself. Mm-hmm. The third thing is, and this relates to the neuroscience of it, is that it helps load your pattern recognition system. So if you think about being able to draw on as much information as possible, because books are so concentrated with knowledge, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of research to pour into them. They are some of the most condensed places for knowledge to find. So if you read, what you're doing is you're loading your pattern recognition system. So you can call it your subconscious, whatever you want. You are loading it with all these things, whether or not you're taking everything in as you're reading it, or, this is one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of audiobooks as well. Sometimes you can't sit and read, but you can layer in an activity while you're driving or whatever it is, or people commute. You're doing something, you can throw in an audiobook or a podcast like this. Mm-hmm. And what it does is you're allowing your subconscious to take in additional information. Now, if you don't do that, you're going to have a lot less information for your subconscious, because your subconscious runs, I can't remember the exact, but you have a lot more bandwidth that your subconscious is able to process information, far greater than your conscious brain. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we are such big proponents, for all those major reasons of why, we very simply, we say leaders are readers, but it's just an oversimplification, but it's a really easy way to wrap your head around it. Mm-hmm. To say, when you say leaders are readers, that's why. You're investing in yourself, you're increasing your skill set, you're exhibiting a growth mindset. And with that, by loading your pattern recognition system in the times that you are allowing your subconscious to run, it will make, there's more information to make connections from. So suddenly something that happened here, or something you read over here, listened to over there, without really realizing, that's the genesis for creativity and all of these ideas to start making sense. Oh, wow. You have the epiphany because the pattern recognition system has so much to draw from. Mm-hmm. And that's why we continually want to encourage that.
What would you say to, because there's obviously people that have the opinion that listening to audiobooks while driving is actually a form of distraction?
I guess, it's funny. I was just thinking about this because I was thinking about that whole thing, right? So a distraction versus the idea of being able to layer something in. Because we spend a lot of time, we talked about how you can't actually multitask, right? We can task switch back and forth. Now, what I find different about, let's say, an audiobook is that you don't always have to be actively listening to it, because your subconscious is still taking information in. So whether or not you're consciously aware of it, or you're actively, trying to get something and diverting your focus to that, that's one thing, right? Because obviously when you are driving, the main focus should be on the road. I don't necessarily believe it's a bad thing to have it in the, going, as long as it's not distracting you from your primary thing, because you're still loading the pattern recognition system. You may not remember exactly where that idea or where that thing came from, but you're still giving the subconscious the ability to take that information in, because whether or not we like it or even admit it, our brains, our subconscious is always taking in information. Right? From the time we're born, right, we soak in so much information, whether or not we realize it. You look around, you see all the ads for things. There's a great video. There was a famous, he was a neuro-linguistic programmer. His name was Darren Brown, and he could basically convince people or get people to do things just with neuroprogramming, just speaking to the subconscious. Mm-hmm. So it is a real thing. It's an active thing. So I'll circle back to the original question was, around, is listening to an audiobook while you're driving a distraction? It can be, if you are too focused on that. The trick will be to not let it occupy the all of your focus, and be okay just having the awareness that it is okay to allow it, and you're not going to catch everything. That's okay. And I'm okay with that as a layering activity versus calling it a distraction, because there are times where you can layer activities. So when we talk about flow, the 1 month day, and recovery, some of the recovery practices you can do are, let's just say, breathing exercises. So either box breathing, or you want to do much longer exhales and shorter inhales to help downregulate your nervous system. You can do that while doing another recovery activity like a hot bath or a sauna or something like that. You can layer those, because what they're not doing is occupying your full, it doesn't require a lot of focus to be getting rest in a shower or a bath or a sauna and being able to do a gratitude or meditation or a breathing exercise. Right. The distraction are important when we are trying to do something purposeful to move us forward according to our purpose. Right. And these things are pulling us away, whether it's your phone, whether it's all these other things.
Yeah. No, that's very well put. Thank you for giving your perspective on that. I have a similar feeling about that. I believe it also just kind of comes down to the type of book you're listening to.
Yeah.
So if it's self-help, something that's something that you already are easily able to connect your subconscious to, versus like trying to figure out quantum time and everything. It's like,
well, I mean, sometimes like those ones are good. Like if they're in the periphery of what you are curious about,
right.
like sometimes those are good. Like when you're talking about the subject or the content of the book, I think it's really important. Mm-hmm. If you are following a really intensive storyline of fiction, and if you miss part of that, like it's going to ruin the book. Okay, probably not the best way. Mm-hmm. And for that, what is the purpose? Are we doing it for enjoyment? Are we trying to leverage the time we're driving because of that and being able to understand, okay, I'm going to use this time to load my pattern recognition system? Mm-hmm. Okay, if that's the case, okay, I can be aware that that is what it is. That's what I'm doing, and understand my focus is going to be primarily on driving, but I'm going to be able to absorb things to the subconscious directly, and that's okay. Now, if I'm in a really intense audiobook, okay, maybe while I'm driving in the middle of the highway or in the middle of a city is not the best place to do that, because I might be too drawn in and my focus is diverted from what I should be focusing on, the road and the people, everything going around me. Maybe that would then fall over and classify as a distraction. So the content also, great point, is a really important part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, I guess my default is I'm always thinking about, well, my audiobooks are directly related to what we do. And there's very rare time, that I'm sitting driving, listening to an audiobook that's not, helping me grow as a person versus
absolutely.
a fiction one.
I agree. And it's the same thing for me. Like it has to be something that's going to add value to me to better myself. And a lot of times it's not too far of a reach, because you've already set a baseline, and it's going to, further improve that by a little bit. Yeah. And to pull it back to our, holistic topic of this conversation, it all comes down to mindset, right? Having the ability to want to improve yourself. Just us talking this right now is like both of us were listening or reading books that will help us take the next step.
Absolutely.
And going back to what I said, or what we've said before, is just even 1% a day, you are better than you were yesterday. Yeah. Even if it's a minor thing you've learned, right? You're just better.
That's where
cue in frustration.
No, not frustration. It is you see it all the time, because people want these big breakthroughs. And that's what we've been led to believe. It's these massive breakthroughs. And things like flow can be a massive breakthrough, just in being able to peel apart what you thought was actually possible, mm-hmm. and get more done in way more purposeful things, mm-hmm. the most important things, in a really short period of time. There's other things that people just expect. There's a huge expectation gap, and they're expecting this huge thing that does not come. You don't get that, mm-hmm. unless you start very small, incremental. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the exponential growth curve that we talked about way early on. And this is that huge delay of when you see the results versus when you started the action. Mm-hmm. And that's where the idea of layering comes in, because, we haven't talked about the gym in a long time.
No.
Wow. I feel that's, I know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Where, we have these big expectations. I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lose all this weight really fast. Well, some people can, right? Depending on what's going on. What?
I said it was Ozempic.
Yes. Well, yeah, the little cheat code. People come in with these expectations of, I'm going to lose all this weight real fast. And what they try to do is they just try to do this big change. I'm going to suddenly eat super clean. I'm going to cut out all my junk food. I'm going to do all these things. Yeah. And for some people, they can do that. the vast majority of people, they overcorrect instead of layering in and building the habits that build the foundation that they can continue to build on.
Yeah.
So is it that you need to go and start going to the gym 7 days a week when you haven't been in a gym for 3 years?
Yeah.
Might it be a better approach to be like, okay, what if every morning the first thing I did was I got up and I went for a 15-minute walk, or at lunchtime I just went for a 30-minute walk?
Yeah.
Because I can layer that activity into my day. That gives me the starting point of discipline to be able to give myself a leg up, build a little bit of momentum to be able to leverage that, versus, oh no, I'm going to the gym at 4 a.m. tomorrow. And then guess what? Your alarm clock rings at 3:45 a.m. And the immediate thought is, fuck that, I'm not getting up. I'm going back to bed because I'm tired.
Yeah.
So
consistency and perseverance.
yeah, there's that element
discipline.
of discipline and grit that is essential. But if that is a skill that you have to then build. If you have been, a lot of us have examples of discipline and grit in our lives. We're very selective in how we apply that. I'm not a disciplined person. But I bet you if you look at your life, there's a lot of places where you're really disciplined.
Yeah.
Right? You might have a 9-to-5 job. You show up at that job every day. You're never sick, right? You're disciplined in doing that, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of ways that you're not even really realizing how disciplined you are. It's just that you have other areas where you haven't been able to just leverage that into.
Yeah.
So that becomes a layer instead of trying to go full and doing that
All at once.
at once, which is typically what people do, right? Oh, I'm going to launch this business and then
make $1 million sales.
yeah,
Day
right?
one. Yeah.
And then and the first little bump in the road, boom, well, it all falls apart, and well, that doesn't work, and that's the story that's told, right? Where the business road is a very long, lonely road sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And there's a lot of struggle phase in it. There's a lot of perseverance that you have to endure, and most of us don't really realize what that is. Mm-hmm. And when it gets hard, we quit because that's what we're conditioned to do. We do not like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to experience discomfort. You hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I just want to be happy. And this idea that you can chase happiness. Well, you are in a futile endeavor in your life if you're trying to chase happiness, because you will never find it. Yeah. Versus being grateful and understanding that happiness is a day in and day out choice. And there's no rule, there's no thing anywhere written that said we're here to be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how do you experience happiness unless you've experienced pain and sorrow? You can't have one without the other.
It has to, yeah, you're absolutely right. It has to be a cycle, and then you try it again. So I'm going to use this out of John Maxwell's book, or coaching. So I was at John Maxwell's coaching just a couple of days ago, and there's something that he said very beautifully. And so take it back a little bit. The only difference between people that are more successful than others are just consistency, mm-hmm. perseverance, and being okay feeling uncomfortable and feeling shitty. So in his coaching, he said something really beautiful, is that the more you test your limits, the more you're going to have the opportunity to fail. The more you're going to have the opportunity to fail, you'll learn how to improve and which direction you should go to. Mm-hmm. And then the more you're going to improve, the more you're just going to learn your skill set and increase your bar. Well, and then you complete the cycle by doing it all over again. And then,
and that's not a new, that's not a new concept. So William James, psychologist, over 100 years ago, I think we were talking about this earlier, is that, yes, over 100 years ago, William James is a psychologist. He had an address to the American Philosophical Association. So in the address, or the title of his address was The Energies of Man. So this is where William James is talking to this group, and he says, the existence of reservoirs of energy that habitually are not tapped is the most familiar to us as a phenomenon called second wind. Ordinarily, we stop when we meet the first effective layer, so to call it, of fatigue. We have then walked, played, or worked enough and desist. That amount of fatigue is an efficacious obstruction on this side of which our usual life is cast. But if an unusual necessity forces us to press onward, a surprising thing occurs. The fatigue gets worse up to a certain critical point, when gradually or suddenly it passes away and we are fresher than before. We have evidently tapped a new level of energy. There may be layer after layer of this experience. A third and a fourth wind may supervene. Mental activity shows the phenomenon as well as physical, and in exceptional cases we may find, beyond the very extreme of fatigue distress, amounts of ease and power that we never dreamed ourselves to own, sources of strength habitually not taxed at all, because habitually we never push through the obstruction, never pass through those early critical points. I think that's a really, I mean, it's nothing new under the sun. That over 100 years ago, William James wrote that and presented that. We see it time and time again. I experience it in my life. There's times where I know I'm not pushing hard enough, or, you know, I give up too early. And all that does is delay the hard work when the obstacle, the hard path is the way. But it's not comfortable, and we don't like to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like, nobody's reinventing the wheel anymore. It's all of these things have been spoken about, decade over decade. There's been people much smarter that have come around that have shared these things. The reason why we talk about them is because they're proven to work, and it does indefinitely just come down to adding that discipline, right? And one thing that was inspiring about John Maxwell was I think in his like late 70s, maybe 80s. He looks very old. And he said something that, again, everybody's probably heard of. You've probably said it before too, is you're only as good as your last book. You can replace the book word with a different object.
Yes.
And it's true. And he keeps saying that he's written 90 books in his entire career, and he's looking to write 90 more. How many times are we sold this dream that after 60 you retire, you just don't do anything? This guy, old dude, talking about how he's still got a lot more to learn, a lot more to do, a lot more,
Sounds like he has purpose, vision.
Exactly. And no ego. His purpose is filled with passion and no ego.
He's got a great vision, great purpose. He's out there doing it, right? So
yeah. But a lot of the things he said, like, he's kind of taken what somebody else has said and reworded it to appeal to different people that might not have heard it the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Bruce Lee talks about, I'm more scared of a guy that's practiced one punch 10,000 times versus a guy that knows 10,000 punches.
Yeah.
John Maxwell said that I'm more impressed by a guy that starts a project or whatever it is and does it over 1,000 days versus a guy that starts 10,000 projects and does one each day.
Exactly. And that is a perfect segue. It's a perfect support for why focus and our attention is such an important, valuable thing to have that is being taken away from us. We've lost the ability. We've forgotten how to focus on things. We've forgotten how to, or what to pay attention to. And as a result, we become scattered. And we try to do 1,000 different punches once versus here is the most important thing and become laser focused. Go back to the afterburner framework, right? Put our attention on something, we leverage our focus and flow to condense time frames to do that. And that just accelerates us towards that. The more focused we are, the more energy is going into that. It all depends. Where are we putting our focus? What are we putting that focus? What's that attention going to?
Yeah.
Right? Because that will determine the trajectory and where we're going. So making sure that that's lined up and we leverage flow and really drive the focus even more.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you will continue to lead a life of the current results that you're getting, which is frustration, going nowhere, your business won't make money, all the things, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're
at a perfect place to call this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the minimum effective dose
for today?
Yes.
Mindset and growth to hone in your focus. Just came up with that. Just came up with that.
So read, load your pattern recognition system. That's a very simple thing you can do.
Yeah. I want to quickly add, so this is something you tried with me. I was living such a busy life that I wasn't able to read a lot. So what is it that you suggested at the time? I was like, well, you can listen, can't you?
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I don't have an excuse for that because realistically, if I'm in the, so I might butcher this, but if I'm in the growth mindset
Yes.
versus
fixed mindset,
if I'm looking to go to the growth mindset, I need to take that without ego and appreciate that there is a solution to my problem.
The question, the quality of the question will determine
exactly
the quality of your response.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off there, but
no. It's perfect. It's absolute truth. And so when you find yourself, when you're saying, okay, read, I don't have time. We challenge that with the clients all the time. Where do you have time? Where can you layer that activity in? And are you limiting yourself to because I can't pick up a physical book? Or can you get a Kindle? Can you get an audiobook? There are many ways to solve this to increase and by saying I don't have time to read, are you staying in a fixed mindset or are you asking a question, how can I find the time and how can I make this happen? That's how you start to move into that growth mindset, which is, if you're stuck in that, you don't even realize you're in the fixed mindset. Those types of reactions are the things that will help you determine what side of that you're on.
And then there's the two mindset is, I have so much to do versus, oh man, I have so much to look forward to.
So I think this is a great place to also plug that we are currently working on developing a masterclass on how to actually free up time and reclaim a lot of your life back. And we will be doing that for free. So we will be launching that in the next little while. So just stay tuned. But we are going to, we're in the middle of using the 1 month day to create that masterclass for you because we understand how important that is. So with that, thank you. Thank everyone. Thank you, Mom. Saad's mom, we love you. Thank you for listening. Everyone, again, that's been on this journey with us, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Biz Meds. Again, I'm Darris.
Saad.
And remember, you're just one day away from the life you've always dreamed about. We'll see you in the next episode.
Catch you guys on the next episode.